Throughout almost the entirety of the 60s, a British spy show called The Avengers ran on ITV, amassing 161 episodes in 6 series. It was very well received and also popular within Canada and the United States, and it's looked back at today as one of the greatest British television shows of all time. What we're looking at today is not that. Oh dear God, it is not that. What we are looking at today is an American-made movie adaptation, which, to put it bluntly, is an abomination. The film centers around British ministry agent John Steed and his new partner scientist Emma Peel as they try to figure out who exactly is screwing with the world's weather. Yeah, that's the plot. This movie, however, does have an all-star trio cast of Ralph Fiennes as John Steed, Uma Thurman as Emma Peel, and Sean Connery as the villain, Sir August de Winter. At this point, Fiennes was only about 5 years removed from Schindler's List, Thurman was about 4 years removed from Pulp Fiction, and Sean Connery was, well, Sean Connery, so surely they helped pull this movie through, right? Well, unfortunately no, as their performances were pretty stifled by boring and uninspired written dialogue. I will give Thurman some credit in the sense that she did a passable accent, like, it was passable, but it didn't make up for the dialogue being boring and cringy as hell. Audiences seem to feel the same way, as this movie only made $54.7 million at the box office. Now you might be thinking, well, that's not bad, $54.7 million, that's a decent chunk of change. Well, you'd think that until you find out this movie cost $60 million to make, making this a massive box office bomb. I'll tell you what, 1998 was not a good year for adaptations/remakes. This arguably was not even the worst movie of 1998. It was the same year as that terrible Psycho remake and that terrible American Godzilla movie where Godzilla looked like a goddamn T-Rex. But in addition to the uninspired dialogue, which I talked about earlier, and the uninspired plot, I mean, the movie was about the fucking weather, for Christ's sake. It didn't help that Fiennes and Thurman didn't really have much chemistry together, which kinda sucks when you're supposed to be a duo. In fact, in 2003, Total Film magazine voted them the worst movie double act of all time. And also, in addition, fans of the original show just hated it. I mean, it makes sense. They felt like they kind of took the Britishness out of it, which, you know, makes sense. They hired an American actress with a fake accent to be the lead lady, and, you know, it was American made. And also, apparently, in the original show, it was very ambiguous about their relationship between Steed and Peel, and in this, they just went full-on romance. So, yeah, fans of the original show didn't like that either. And right before we get into the review, I should also mention that this was a Channel Points request by Sportshawk, who I imagine requested this just for the sole purpose of hearing me shit on it for a little bit. So, if that's what you want, that's what you're about to get. And we might as well kick it off, as we review The Avengers, released in 1998. So our movie begins with 3 whole minutes of opening credits, which I was actually happy about, because at least it shaves down the runtime a little bit. But anyway, we now meet John Steed, who's an agent for some kind of super secret ministry, and he beats up a bunch of random pedestrians, but I guess it was all just a super secret ministry test, or whatever the fuck. We now meet a scientist and lead of a weather project called Prospero named Emma Peel, who meets up with Steed, and man, you can really tell just from this opening scene together that, God, they have no chemistry. They meet up with the paralyzed ministry leader named Mother, who was played by Jim Broadbent, and luckily for him, he recovered quickly from this film and went on to do things such as Moulin Rouge, Hot Fuzz, and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So what the Prospero Project actually is it some kind of force field that helps influence the weather, or whatever the fuck, but it's also a weather influence. It's confusing, but anyway, it was sabotaged by Peel, as shown on video camera, but she's like, no, that's not me, even though it's clearly fucking you. But conveniently, instead of just eliminating her, which would have been too easy, Mother decides to team her up with Steed so they can find out who's really behind this. We also meet Mother's counterpart Father, played by Fiona Shaw, who also went on to be in Harry Potter. But anyway, Father thinks that Peel should have been eliminated because she has schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder or whatever. You know, that's not really what you should do with someone with that disorder, but whatever, I guess. Anyway, Peel and Steed have a fencing match, and she's incredibly skilled for reasons they never give an actual explanation for, other than her father always wanted a boy. So they then decide to pay a visit to Sir August de Winter, who was an ex-ministry agent who was expelled from the ministry for reasons. De Winter's playing his piano, and he has a picture of Peel in his living room area, which is normal. He then meets up with Peel in his fucking rainforest, and they bond over their love of the weather, and Peel is trying to ask him for help on what's going on with the weather deal, and he tries to help her, and then she's just like, no, fuck you, you're crazy, and he, logically, is like, dude, what the fuck, you asked for my help. Steed, meanwhile, who is trying to snoop around De Winter's mansion, gets trapped by weather in a phone booth, and when he comes out, it's snowing, and then Peel rolls up on a dog sled and just shoots him. So yeah, that escalated quickly. But then he's back in his apartment with Peel, who helped nurse him back to health after he was mysteriously shot, and he just forgets about it for whatever reason. But also, Peel picked up a clue, a fucking snow globe, which leads them to Wonderland Weather, a place that actually creates artificial weather. And meanwhile, there's also a Care Bear meeting going on, being led by De Winter, who I guess is head Care Bear. Turns out they're evil Care Bears though, and De Winter's actually the leader of a secret organization looking to take over the world using the weather or whatever the shit. He then asks Care Bears if they want a Care Bear stared away on out of there, and two of them raise their hands, so he just kills them. Peel and Steed then find the dead Care Bears and unmask them, and Peel realizes that they were two members of the Prospero Project. So they split up and follow different Care Bears. Steed follows the red Care Bear, who's revealed to be some Noel Gallagher lookalike, and he just beats up his minions, but then Noel gets away. But he dropped his map, so that's a good thing to have. Peel, meanwhile, followed the black Care Bear, who, surprise, gets to jump on her, and turns out it's her. Oh, okay, Steed shows up and he's like, yo, what the fuck, there's two of you, and then the second Peel just jumps off the fucking roof. So meanwhile, De Winter tests his weather machine, which apparently can utilize lightning. That's pretty dangerous. And also, Steed reveals to Peel that he has orders to kill her, but he's not gonna do it because he has a crush on her or whatever. And then in the next scene, it's very casually revealed, with no build-up whatsoever, that Father is actually evil and working with De Winter. We'd only even seen this character once, and that was like 30 minutes ago at this point. But yeah, she's evil. Great. Peel and Steed decide to pay De Winter another visit, but they're interrupted by poorly animated CGI bees and also De Winter's henchmen, and they get chased by these bees and henchmen for a solid 3 minutes before they destroy the henchman's car and kill all the bees. They're then stopped by an old lady with a Tommy gun who kills one of De Winter's henchmen, although the Noel Gallagher looking one gets away. The old lady is revealed to be Alice, another ministry agent who was played by Elaine Atkins, who, in my opinion, was probably the best acted character in this whole movie. They decide to re-enter the mansion through some kind of maze, which they get trapped in, and then Peel accidentally goes down a trap door while Steed gets ambushed by De Winter. And then De Winter does some magical shit with Steed's umbrella and then vanishes, and then clone Peel shows up and knocks Steed unconscious. Real Peel, meanwhile, has been kidnapped by De Winter, who hypnotizes her or whatever. He then dances with her and prepares to rape her, which is a massive fucking jump we just took, but that's seriously what was gonna happen, until he's interrupted by Alice, who rung the doorbell. Peel that ends up in some ever-changing staircase, because this is Labyrinth now, I guess, until she hears Steed knocking from the outside of the house. So, to get to him, she dives through the window. Alice has De Winter at gunpoint meanwhile, but she's knocked out by Noel Gallagher. Steed meanwhile has brought Peel back to his apartment where he confesses his feelings for her even more and also gives her some new boots, so that's nice. Father then shows up, however, with some agents and reveals that Peel is to be arrested because reasons. Steed needs more information about that map he found 20 minutes ago, however, so he meets up with a Colonel Jones who, due to some kind of of accident is completely invisible. And this right here is the one really cool thing I can give this movie credit for. Invisible Jones was actually voiced by Patrick Macnee, who played John Steed in the original TV show. So at least it's got that going for it. Peel, meanwhile, was locked up in a straitjacket in some kind of padded room by Favre, and they have a bunch of useless dialogue for like 90 seconds, and then Favre, along with the clone, just knocks her out. Steed, meanwhile, gets a lot of information from Invisible Jones. It turns out De Winter used to work at the Ministry, which we already knew, but the context was that he was the head of a cloning project which was shut down after it went wrong. However, the cloning project was also co-funded by Favre, who Steed finally gets in on is also evil. But I don't think they ever explained how it was that Peel got cloned. Like, unless I'm missing something, unless I just missed it, I don't think they ever actually explained how Peel got cloned. Anyway, the weather's really getting bad because of De Winter's machine, and he shows up at a world leaders meeting wearing that for whatever reason, and he tells them his grand scheme. What is his motivation? What does he want? He wants money. That's all he wants. He wants money, and he wants them to pay him money for the rights to the weather, and they have until midnight to do it, or he's gonna destroy everybody, I guess, for money. Meanwhile, Alice shows back up and informs Mother about Favre's betrayal, and he confronts her and the clone. However, remember, Mother is paralyzed, so Favre just easily incapacitates him by tipping over his wheelchair, which is pretty fucked up. Steed has just missed them as well, but luckily it appears he put a tracking device in Peel's new boots, so he's able to get their location. Further, meanwhile, Favre and the clone have taken Peel up in a hot air balloon, and they're on their way to meet with De Winter. So Peel then wakes up, and Favre and the clone just don't notice, so she goes to the top of the hot air balloon and just starts destroying shit until the clone finally notices, and they fight for a good solid minute until Peel falls off of the hot air balloon, and then the hot air balloon goes right into a sign, which ends up killing both the clone and Favre. Steed then meets up with Peel and finds out that she's still alive, and then they awkwardly make out. But anyway, this is no time for awkwardly making out. They gotta go stop De Winter, so they head back to his mansion and back to that telephone booth, and then he just uses it to let them in to his base for whatever reason. They then split up, and Peel goes to deactivate the machine, while Steed goes to confront De Winter. Peel reaches the super orb machine, which controls everything, I guess, but she's confronted by the Noel Gallagher-looking agent, who, after almost an hour and 20 minutes, finally is given the name of Bailey, and they fight for a couple of minutes until Bailey falls to his doom, but right before he does, he drops the only F-bomb in this movie, because you are allowed at least one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie. But anyway, Steed confronts De Winter, and they have a sword fight on multiple platforms while the water rises, which clearly had to have been the influence for the lightsaber fight in Revenge of the Sith. De Winter ends up getting the better of Steed until, guess what? He doesn't, and then Steed stabs him for the chest with his own spear thing, which ends up getting used as a lightning rod, and then, yeah, De Winter just gets electrocuted to death, and that's the end of him. But uh-oh, there's a massive tornado forming in London, and Big Ben literally just fucking imploded, but it's okay, because Peel pulled the right wire, and everything is saved. And then Peel jumps like 200 feet from that thing, all the way into the water, and she's completely fine, because consistently, Hollywood has no idea how fucking water physics work. But anyway, the entire base then starts to self-destruct, because why not? But luckily, they have this escape pod submarine thing, which they use to get out. And then they meet Favre on a roof to drink champagne and toast their job well done, and that's it. That's the end of the movie. Thank God for that. Alright, well, let's start off with the positives. The positives, hold on, I'm still thinking. The positive was that it was short. Yeah, it was short. Not counting the credits, it came in at about an hour and 24 minutes, which is good because if you're gonna make a shit film, at least have the common decency to make a short shit film, because an hour and a half shit film compared to a 2-hour shit film is a big deal. Like, half an hour might not seem like a long time, but it is when you're watching a movie, especially a terrible movie. So at least this movie had the common decency to be short. But as far as the negatives, I don't know what else I can add other than what I said at the beginning. I might have said too much at the beginning, to be honest. I mean, if you're a fan of the television show, you're gonna hate this movie. You're gonna hate this movie if you're a fan of the television show, because it's just, I imagine, just nothing like the television show. And if you've never seen the television show, you might not hate this movie, but you won't like it either, because it's boring. Like, it's just boring. The plot is uninspired. The actors are uninspired. Again, great cast, but the two main leads had no chemistry with one another. I will give Sean Connery some credit. He really Sean Connery'd it up, which helped a little bit, I guess. But, I mean, overall, none of them really just seemed that interested in this. So, aside from it being short, there's really not really any positives I can give about this movie. It's really like, it's not something I will ever watch again, just because, like, it's just a waste of time. If I'm being honest, it's just a waste of goddamn time. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, should you see this movie? No, just don't. I wasted an hour 24 of my time. No need for you to do the same thing. But next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to transition from a movie that I didn't want to understand to a movie that I probably won't be able to understand, because does anybody? As next week we are doing what is by far going to be the newest movie review on this channel in terms of movie release date, when we review Tenet. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for my review of the Avengers. Thank you, Sportshawk, I think, for requesting this review. I know it was Sportshawk, but I say I think because I'm not sure if I should be thanking you. But again, if you wanted me to shit on the movie, there you go. It was boring as shit. But that is going to do it for me today. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like it. If you didn't like it, don't. If you want to follow any of my social media links, they're in the description down below. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting me and my channels. I appreciate you guys. With all that being said, though, my name is Noah Taff. This has been my review of the Avengers, released in 1998, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.